Hey guys, happy Monday. Yes, back to work Monday, back to school Monday, and we are officially welcoming you to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, coming up on the show today, show me the money. Apparently that's the case on Wall Street now that stocks are surging. This as President Trump rolls back tariffs on China. Hey, did you hear? Yes, Howard University, the softball team, they're headed to the College World Series. We're going to speak with the coach and the latest on the Diddy trial. All that and more coming up on the show today. But first, how about we kick it off with a little weather, shall we? Caesar joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, sir. Happy Monday.
Good to see you as well. Good, happy Monday. Good morning. And, enjoying a lot of this beautiful weather outside.
Oh, my gosh, it's
right?
so beautiful. But I hear rain is in the forecast.
Yeah. I have to be the bearer of bad news on that one, Guy. Yes, we are going to be dealing with some rain out there. So looking at the forecast for us, right, we're going to have a beautiful first half of the day. But then as we head in towards the second half of the day, that's where Monday's wet weather starts to really make its way and it felt present. It's going to be quite warm and then rainy out there. So temperatures expected to be around 78 degrees for us, thanks to those winds out of the southeast at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. But we start to then see some rain showers moving on in, especially as we head into the overnight hours in towards Tuesday. So you'll notice here temperatures still hanging for our lows well into the 60s. So a mild start, but we're going to need the umbrella to kick off the morning for us. And those temperatures then really don't move much. So you'll notice highs for tomorrow going into Tuesday. That's where we can see temperatures still mostly hanging around those mid to upper 60s, even a few 70s scattered around, such as the district, and even Leonardtown could get near 60 degrees. So we deal with a lot of that rain, those rain showers that really move on in. Looking at futurecasts, we'll see that those rain showers really become prominent at around 5 a.m. Tuesday. So if you're an early riser, have the morning commute to go through, well, that's where we're going to see some of the heaviest rain. So just be cautious on the road out there. Then as we head in towards the evening time frame, you can see quite a lot of rain as well, still making its way in towards our area. Then even lingering into parts of Wednesday. So it is going to be a wet week overall, and that's why areas are expected to see of around 2 to even 3 inches of rain from Monday afternoon to Wednesday afternoon. So certainly a lot of rain to be had within those 48 hours, maybe even a little bit more, because when we look here at the 7-day forecast, while temperatures are going to be comfortable back into the 70s and even some 80s by the time we wrap up the work week, we do have rain chances every single day, even lingering into parts of Saturday. But look at that, temperatures sitting at 86, and then Sunday drying on out, 83 degrees. At least we have a little bit of sunshine at the end of everything.
Is it a bad thing that I'm already thinking about next weekend?
I feel like we're all thinking about next weekend, especially Sunday.
Good stuff. Caesar joining us with all things weather right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take your weather on the go any and everywhere you go. Well, what are the stories we're following for you this afternoon? Mother's Day weekend turned into tragedy for a Prince George's County family. 54-year-old Leslie Davis was found shot inside of her home. The victim's daughters tell Fox 5 they dropped their kids off Friday night for a sleepover at Grandma's. When the daughters could not contact Leslie on Saturday afternoon, they went to her home. The young kids were in the home unharmed. Neighbors told Fox 5 they heard gunfire sometime late Friday night or Saturday morning. Police have not identified any suspects at this time. Our very own David Kaplan will have more on this story later this afternoon. Well, a woman was arrested after police say she drove past barriers during a street festival in Laurel, Maryland. Body camera footage shows the tense moments after the woman told officers she had to go to work.
What do you want me to do? I have to go to work.
You cannot get out. I can't help you with that. Please do not disturb this area.
I might have to.
Ma'am. Kind of run through the roadblock. It's 2 George Lincoln 4626. Stop! Stop your car! Stop! Stop!
This happened Saturday along Main Street. No festival goers were injured after the 28-year-old woman tried to get around the crowd along with barriers. She now faces multiple charges, including assault, resisting arrest, and reckless endangerment. Our Bob Barnard will have more on this story later this afternoon. Well, switching gears to politics, the U.S. and China will suspend most tariffs for 90 days. The countries have had a tense relationship since President Trump imposed sweeping 145% tariffs on most Chinese goods last month. This as President Trump signed an executive order today to lower prescription drug prices. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Donte Mills, attorney and political strategist, back here on the Live Zone. Happy Monday, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you, God. Good to see you. Happy Mother's Day to those mothers out there. A day late, but it still counts, right?
Better late than never, and we'll take that, Mr. Mills. Let's move on to the top story of the hour. We know that Israel now receiving American hostage EDAN Alexander from Hamas. Now, Hamas agreed to release Alexander, the last living U.S. hostage in Gaza, after talks with the Trump administration. His parents actually traveled to Israel from New Jersey. He's been in captivity for the last 19 months. A lot of folks now saying this is a goodwill gesture with the potential to unlock a ceasefire in Gaza. Donte, will this work?
Let's hope. And listen, I just brought up Mother's Day. What a better Mother's Day gift for this mother than getting her son back, who's been held since October of 2023. He's from New Jersey, went to high school in Tenafly, New Jersey. And it was interesting to see the entire town almost was out this morning watching to see his release. He had his whole community behind him. This is a great gesture towards peace. But the issue is there's 3 parties involved. So this makes sense and is a great gesture for Gaza and Palestine towards the United States. But when we're talking about Israel, they have to be willing to come to the table for this ceasefire. And that's what we don't know yet. Is Israel going to be willing to do that? I think this is a good measure. And thankfully, the last living American hostage will be home shortly. But all parties have to be willing to come to the table. And we have yet to see if Israel is willing to take that step or if they just want Hamas eradicated altogether and won't stop until they are.
Yeah, we can tell you that Mr. Alexander will be flown to a hospital for a medical and psychological evaluation, and then he will join his family. Quite a reunion that they have been waiting for some time, Donte. It's really a happy day for that family.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on. President Trump signed an executive order earlier today that promises to crack down on unreasonable practices by foreign countries that suppress drug prices abroad. Now, this will apply to a wide range of drugs and the prices in the commercial market, as well as Medicare and Medicaid, and will most likely spark fierce legal battles. Your thoughts on this, Donte?
I applaud this. This is necessary. America is paying 2, and sometimes when you talk about brand name drugs, 3 times the amount that other nations are paying for the same prescriptions. That's just not fair. So something needed to happen to kind of balance that out. Donald Trump in his first term initiated this project of most favored nation, where he proposed that the United States should pay what the least, what the comparable nation is paying, the least amount that a comparable nation is paying. We should match that price for the United States. He's now taking it further in his second term, where he wants that to be the case for everything. Medicare has had the ability to negotiate prescription prices, but there was no kind of conglomerate or the government negotiating for private care and private insurance for the price they would pay for prescriptions. So this is the government getting involved and saying, we're going to step in and make sure that we negotiate these prices down somehow so that private insurance companies won't have to pay as much. That means the customers won't have to pay as much for prescription drugs. I think it's necessary. It's been a long time coming. I hope that this plan moves forward, and I hope that there is no litigation, because we want this to happen. Drug prices in this country is really, really high, and getting them down is something that we all should be behind, and I applaud the administration for taking this initiative.
We've all heard that saying, can't we all get along? And apparently that is now the case, or at least it appears to be, with the U.S. and China. We know that they have reached an agreement to temporarily reduce their tariffs on each other for an initial 90 days, in essence, de-escalating a punishing trade war. Now, according to Trump, he may very well speak with the president of China at the end of this week. This is a good thing for the economy, no matter what side of the aisle you happen to sit on, Donte.
I agree, but there's a caveat, right? There's always a caveat. So yes, this is a good thing that there's been an agreement to 115% reduction in tariffs from both nations. So now, instead of the tariff rate being at 145% for goods going into China, it will be 30%. And China had imposed 125%. That will be down to 10% on our goods. So yes, that's good for trade and movement of goods and supplies around the globe. However, we don't want this tariff battle to be for nothing. We want there to be some kind of resolution at the end of this where the United States is in a better place than we was when this began. So I hope that this isn't just an acknowledgement that this should be over and we walk away in the same position. I'm hoping that this is used as leverage to kind of balance the scale so that we're both being charged the same amount or even pricing so that we can ship goods out just as they're shipping goods to us, and both sides could benefit from a trade that's needed between both countries.
Yeah, yet again, a lot of eyes happen to be on this trade war, and it's going to be really interesting to see how all of it unfolds. Let's take it to the friendly skies, shall we? In this case, the White House announcing that they plan to accept a Boeing 747 to replace Air Force One as a gift from the Qatar royal family. Now, Trump has long insisted that he would like to replace Air Force One. The details still being ironed out, but I would suspect as a lawyer you have several questions, Dante.
I do. Whenever you talk about a gift, someone giving the White House a gift or the government a gift, it's going to be questions around it. I also think the symbolism around this is not something that we should tamper with. This is Air Force One. It protects the most important person in the United States. I think that everything around it should come from and be based in the United States. We should make a big deal about producing this plane in-house to protect our leader. Yes, there's been a lot of reports that Air Force One needs to be either replaced or some kind of overhaul done, but I think it needs to come from within this country. And we certainly don't need to be accepting gifts, or we don't need to accept gifts in order to provide our leader with the method of transportation. So I don't like this move. It just feels a little icky to me. We shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to protect our own and be proud to manufacture and produce whatever is carrying the president within the United States.
And we know the president is traveling to Saudi Arabia this week as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out throughout the remainder of the week. President Trump also threatening to stop trade with India and Pakistan in a push for a ceasefire. It's really a war of words now, Dante. The question is, will it work?
Again, you talk about the United States kind of inserting themselves, which is something that the United States does, right? We're a world leader, and we do get involved in actions and activities around the world, but you need both sides to be willing to come to the table again. And we talk about India and Pakistan. It's went beyond the war words, right? There were actual military strikes carried out in both countries that has de-escalated. They've agreed to a ceasefire. And the administration has weighed in and said that they shouldn't be fighting and taking each other's lives, that whatever it is can be worked out. They're trying to use this trade negotiation. I think that's something that this administration really believes impacts a lot of people. So they're trying to use this trade negotiation as a tool to get them both to the table, but we have to see if they're willing to do so. I don't know how much influence we're going to have when they have access to each other and there's strikes being carried out or that were being carried out that they feel like they need to retaliate against. So let's see if the temperature comes down. And yes, we can use whatever tool we have in our disposal to get them to the table, but ultimately they have to agree both those countries, India and Pakistan, with each other.
Yeah, yet again, too many lives already lost in that region. We'll end with this, Dante, and that is the former Vice President Kamala Harris, who is expected to decide by the end of the summer whether she will run for the California governor in 2026. She has a near universal name recognition among California voters, and 50% view her in a positive light. You think she's going to go ahead and bite the, well, let's say, make that move, if you will?
It's a tough call. That's the downside. Well, she held the second highest office in the land. She was vice president. She ran for and was the Democratic Party's nominated candidate for the highest office in the land. So governor of California by any term is a step back. It is. So I think she has to determine whether or not she wants to do that. It's kind of hard when you run for a top position, you don't get it, and then you have to fall back to what is essentially a lesser position. Now, California is absolutely very important, but it's not the office of the president of the United States. So I think there will be a little bit of angst on both sides. Voters saying, yes, you lost. Dick went to run the country. Are you capable of running the state? Name recognition goes a long way. So I do think if she decides to run, she actually has a leg up on any other candidate because of that name recognition. But she has to decide if she's willing to accept that lesser role And if she'll be comfortable in that position, knowing that she's held a higher position before and ran for one that was even higher.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be comfortable any and every day in that California weather. Take that. Mr.
Yes.
Donte Mills, political strategist, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, sir. Make it a great day. Well, President Trump has fired the head of the U.S. Copyright Office. The move comes after the Copyright Office issued a lengthy report on artificial intelligence in which expressed concerns about the usage of copyrighted material by AI technology. And even though we are not sure that triggered the firing, we do know that AI and other creative content could now be subject to political pressure. To explain, we welcome intellectual property attorney and founder of the law firm Trussell Law, Kristen Roberts, back here on the Live Zone. Good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what exactly does the Copyright Office do exactly?
Well, it's part of the Library of Congress. And first and foremost, its job is to register creative works like books, movies, film, and art so that creators can prove ownership and also protect their rights. But it also advises Congress on copyright law, and it helps shape national policy. It plays key role in how copyright laws are applied, rules are applied when it goes to register those movies and books, et cetera, those creative works. And especially as new tech like AI that you mentioned changes the way that content is, created and shared. So it really helps make sure that creators get credit and also have control over their work.
So what does this do with regard to trust protections? What are folks going to be saying about this?
Well, it's kind of up in the air right now because it is tied very closely to the recent firing of the Librarian of Congress. And, Hayden was appointed by the Obama administration and then was just sort of given a one-liner, hey, you're fired, you're no longer needed. And then on the heels of that, Perlmutter was also released. And so in terms of trust, it makes it look a little political, which is concerning to some people, especially practitioners like myself who use the Copyright Office on a regular basis to help our clients register their works.
Sure.
This can put a kibosh on how things are done internally, as well as, externally to everyday people who don't always work with the Library of Congress and the Copyright Office. It can look, well, if we don't agree with what this administration is doing, they're just going to get fired. So this is this can look political, and it can also impact not just practitioners, but also everyday people.
I got about 30 seconds left, and with that being said, what would you hope happens moving forward?
Well, I would hope that the administration would maybe reconsider the firing because Perlmutter has done a lot to help the digitization of the Library of Congress, along with Hayden, and also set some of these rules. And we're just starting to get these AI rulings out, and it would be nice to have some consistency.
Well said. Yet again, Kristen Roberts joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take our first break. On the flip side of that break, the latest on the Diddy sex crimes case. We'll get a live report from outside of the courthouse next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Now the latest on the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Opening statements are now underway after a jury was selected. Diddy is facing sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Fox 5's Michelle Ross is live outside of the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Michelle?
Hi there, Guy. A jury has now been seated consisting of 8 men and 4 women, and they are currently hearing opening statements from the defense side. The prosecution already wrapped, and in it they told jurors that what they can expect over the course of this trial is to hear of 20 years of alleged crimes committed by Sean Diddy Combs and about his inner circle who allegedly enabled him. Arriving at the courthouse this morning were his children, his 3 sons and his twin daughters. They left a black van holding hands. Now, depending how far along opening statements and witness testimony get today, they will hear in detail the graphic allegations their father is accused of. The prosecution mentioned kidnapping, arson, drugs, and sex crimes. They also mentioned that Diddy forced ex-girlfriend and R&B singer Cassie Ventura to have sex with male escorts while he watched and filmed and kept the recordings as blackmail. He's also accused of forcing other women to participate in occasions referred to as freak-offs, days-long drug-fueled sex orgies that lasted days. Diddy has denied all allegations, and his publicist spoke outside the courthouse this morning.
He's ready to go. He's ready to go on his defense. This has been, 8 months waiting for this, so I think everyone's just ready to get this done.
Now, the defense has said that they will admit to domestic violence on Diddy's part, but that they will also argue that there was mutual violence on both sides. And if they get to witness testimony this afternoon, the first 2 the prosecution said will be relatively quick, but that the 3rd witness could last all week, and that is believed to be Cassie. We're live outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Michelle Ross, Fox 5 DC.
And joining us now to discuss this further happens to be Jess Lettingham. She is a federal litigator and back here on the Live Zone. So, Jess, it's getting real, as they say. Today's the day. Opening statements now underway with regard to the Sean Diddy Combs case. For folks that are still trying to wrap their mind around this and grasp how this works, what exactly does the opening statements mean? What happens with that?
Opening statements, first the prosecution will go, and then the defense, and then the prosecution kind of ends it up. So as they always say, the first person and the last person in an argument usually wins. As Michelle just told us, the prosecution has been very clear of, here's the evidence we're going to show you, and it's going to allow you to convict him. Meanwhile, the defense is really trying to say, this is a guy with a lot of problems. Domestic violence is bad. We don't believe in domestic violence, but this is an issue about him engaging in domestic violence, not this racketeering scheme that the government has been alleging that he's been committing for the past 20 years.
Yeah, Jess, we also know that the jury is now made up of 8 men and 4 women. Is that a good thing for the defense?
It is a good thing for the defense, including some of the people is a massage therapist and a grocery store clerk, which the grocery store clerk, that's a good thing for the defense because you want people that come from a rough background, come from, low means like Diddy, because then they see Diddy as more of a hero. Then the people that used to work at JP Morgan, that one might not be good for the defense. But a huge reason, Guy, that there are more men than women on the jury is because a lot of women had to say that they either experienced or knew someone that experienced sexual abuse or domestic violence. So a lot of them were too biased to serve on the jury.
Wow. Well, with regard to the defense, we know that they will try to, in essence, poke holes in the prosecution's case. We also know that with regard to Cassie and Diddy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but according to insiders, they were both violent with one another. Is that correct?
That is what they have been alleging. That's what the defendant has been alleging. And that's what the defense is going to show. They're going to show that this wasn't him, beating her up and forcing the sex, that this was a very toxic relationship. And I think a lot of people have either been in a toxic relationship or have seen a toxic relationship very close to them. So they understand that both sides just keep heating it up. And that's what the defense is going to be relying upon.
All right, so the wild card here, or what I would deem the wild card, happens to be that Cassie is pregnant. And with that being said, I would expect perhaps the defense, in essence, the cross-examination rather, would be somewhat different from the way you would perhaps treat someone that is not pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes and no. Cassie is a sexual abuse victim, alleged sexual abuse victim. And due to that, Tenny is most likely going to be the one that crosses her, unless it's the other woman that has been newly appointed to his team. But until this weekend, he only had one woman on his team. She's going to take her time, and she has to be soft and slow with her, because you don't want it to look like the defense team is too much bullying anyways. Because she's pregnant, obviously she looks a little bit more sympathetic, but people know that this happened 6 years ago, so I do think that they'll be able to separate that. The bigger issue is treating her kind, but not too kind, because she is an alleged sex abuse victim.
Yeah, and with that being said, I would expect the defense lawyers to, in essence, point out inconsistencies and or exaggerations on her part.
Absolutely, Guy. And I'm sure we'll see some video evidence or text evidence of a mutual destructive behavior, you know, that they were both very just violent towards each other. And it'll be up to the defense to realize, has Diddy been using his bodyguards and everyone around him to just keep only being abusive and allow this racketeering charge to go forward? Or if they say, no, this is just a really messed up boyfriend-girlfriend situation.
All right, Jess, and with regard to body language, what exactly do you expect Diddy to be doing, and or how should he appear while Cassie is on the stand?
I'm sure you've heard that your co-anchor that you just had on, Michelle, of Fox 5 New York, that he even, you know, mouthed to her, "Are you okay?" because she's 7 months pregnant. Diddy has been really attentive, been taking notes, hugs his attorneys every day, you know, has been dressing nicely, but not too nicely. He knows that there will be a pair of eyeballs on him from the jury at all times. Diddy is a very charismatic individual. He knows how to act. He knows how to perform for people. So he is going to be attentive, look bad for the things that he has done, but not too bad. He is going to be acting this whole time, and I have a feeling he's going to do a really incredible job.
Yeah, all of which playing out right before our very own eyes. Yet again, we have been speaking with Jess Lettingham, federal litigator, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to chat with you, Jess. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure, Guy.
All right, guys. Hey, on the flip side of this break, guess what? Howard University's softball team headed to the College World Series. We're going to speak with the coach next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Big news out of Howard University. This past Saturday, Howard University's softball team won the 2025 MEAC tournament with a 6-1 win over South Carolina State University. With the win, the Bison will now face Duke University on Friday afternoon in Durham, North Carolina. Joining us now to discuss this monumental achievement is the head coach, Tori Tyson, right here on the Live Zone. Coach Tyson, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
I got to tell you, a high five going out to you. Let me give you 2 of them. Let me give you 3 or 4 of them because you all are doing amazing things. First and foremost, I got to tell you, your team, unlike any other, really, and you happen to be at the helm.
Thank you. It's been a special season. We've got a very special group of seniors, so it's been cool to just coach them and lead them right now.
All right, so I say this is made for a movie, if you will. You watch what you all have done throughout the season. You watch where you all are going. I see you're all smiles, as am I, because I can't believe you all are doing so well, as you should be doing. And with that being said, what's the success, if you will, the sauce behind all your success for this season?
I think heartbreak from last season, to be honest. We had a very special year last year, and we had a lot of highs, and we underperformed immensely at the tournament. And we came back as a team. And again, as a coach, you can only give them ideas and hope that they follow. They made a decision as a team and our captains that we were going to do hard together all year. We had a very hard strength of schedule. We trained really, really hard. They had very hard conditioning because we wanted to be more prepared for the end. And so it's really cool to see all the hard work pay off for them. But it was a what's the secret sauce is hard. You got to be able to do hard together in order to experience some success.
I absolutely love that. Speaking of success, not just successful on the field, excuse me, how about what you all are doing off the field as well? Count them. 14 members of the team being named to the MEAC All-Academic Team. This is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, Howard women are special, and so they know what it is when they get here. They are expected to perform in the classroom and on the field, and something that we constantly say in our program is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So our athletes that perform on the field and perform in the classroom, it's typically because they're doing a lot of the little things right, and it's a byproduct of preparation. So they prepare on both sides, and I'm super proud of them, and I love that this is the standard of our program.
All right, so Coach Tyson, just kind of lean into the screen there just a little bit for me. I just want to brush your shoulders off real quick because you too have some major accolades. You were selected as the most outstanding coach of the MEAC tournament. Job well done. Thank
you. Thank you.
How does it feel to be in that position? I see you smiling. How does it feel?
It's kind of funny. I didn't get the regular season coach of the year, and I felt away immediately. But I don't believe that my calling is for the popularity vote. I think that my calling is to lead young women and prepare them for big things. And I'm most proud when I was watching my team against South Carolina State, just kind of having these moments of like, wow, I felt like I had the most prepared team, and I felt like my girls were confident. And throughout the tournament, they were definitely the team to beat, and they were in a position to embrace that. And that is the thing that makes me the proudest. I love the awards, don't get me wrong, but I'm most rewarded by watching my team perform to the best of their ability and with confidence.
And as a result of that, you just had your 150th career win. I mean, yet again, this is made for a movie.
You couldn't have told me. I will say this, that when I first got to Howard and Kerry Davis first hired me, he was like, it'll take a while, him and Paul. And it's been a lot, but it's still kind of, for me, shock value that I'm at 150 because I took over a 9-win team, and we got 19 wins the first year. And I was like, man, I seen a lot of my mentors hitting win 200 and 500 and 1,000. And I'm like, man, I don't know when I'll ever hit 100. So it is a blessing to be at 150. And again, that's a byproduct of the young women who have bought into this program. And I'm just super proud of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. But I got to tell you, after brushing off your shoulders, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket today because you are on fire. With that being said, we got to get ready. You're going to take on Duke University. And so what's to be expected?
We played Duke earlier, and play is a strong word. We were on the same field as Duke. We were not ready. Our girls were not confident, and that was a whole part of it, right? Is I wanted them to experience hard, and we actually just rewatched that game because I want them to know we didn't play softball that game. That was not Howard softball. That was not our brand. So I'm excited that they get an opportunity to go put out the best version of themselves. It has been, I think, over 24 years since an HBCU has won a game in postseason.
Wow.
And I feel very strongly about making that happen. That is the message this week. I don't know who the win's going to come against, but I know that we are on a mission to make history, and we are focused, and we have a duty to represent the MEAC and Howard University once we get there. And I, as a coach, have a duty to make sure my team is prepared to do that.
Well, Coach Tyson, we are going to speak it into existence. It's going to happen yet again as the Bison take on Duke University on Friday afternoon in Durham, North Carolina. Head coach Tori Tyson, congratulations. We'll see you all the way at the top, but you're kind of already there. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, a troubling study surrounding the health of minority women. More than half of Black and Latina women in Los Angeles who participated in a new study and used personal care products containing a known carcinogen. Of 64 women, researchers found that 53% reported using soap, lotion, shampoo, conditioner, skin lightener, eyeliner, and eyelash glue and other beauty products that contained these toxins. In essence, it could cause cancer in humans. Joining us now to discuss this is Dr. Sogol Ash back here on the Live Zone. Dr. Ash, always good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, great to see you.
All right, I got to tell you, I am troubled by this. I saw this morning, and it really caught my attention, although I am not a woman, but I have used several of the products. I would say lotion, shampoo, conditioner, and things of the like. What are we talking about here, and why are we just finding out about this now?
Yeah, so actually, a lot of functional medicine doctors have known this for a long time, but many of our personal care products, shampoo, lotion, soap, contain endocrine disruptors and carcinogenic chemicals. The ones that they really found in this study was formaldehyde, which is classified as a group 1 carcinogen. And repeated exposure, even at very low levels, it can accumulate over time and increase the risk of cancer, especially the hormone-related ones, thinking like uterine cancer, breast cancer.
Yeah. Well, typically when we see these studies, for example, you heard me make mention of, let's say, the lotion and or shampoo. But dear God, I kept on going and going and going. This is in pretty much any and everything that we use.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in order to avoid these, you want to focus on things that are paraben free, toxin free, they're verified, organic. So there's ways to avoid these, but they're everywhere.
And so with that being said, how do I identify? So let's say I leave here today, I'm going to walk into the store, I'm going to get my favorite lotion and or shampoo, and when I pick it up, what do I need to look for, let's say on the back of that bottle?
So unfortunately, there are so many different names for each of these chemicals. Like none of them are really listed out right. Like formaldehyde usually will hide behind names like DMDM hydantoin or quaternarium 15. So they don't really like roll off the tongue. So I would focus on looking at ingredients and see if you can actually recognize the ingredients. And if you can't, then it's probably too toxic to put on your face or put on your scalp, right? If it's too toxic to breathe in a lab, it's toxic for your health.
Yeah. All right. And so with that being said, I'm concerned, meaning should I pick up the telephone and give my doctor a call, say, hey, you know what? I've used lotion for quite some time. I use shampoo day in and day out. I mean, who doesn't?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's why, it's becoming more and more popular to use more clean products, non-toxic products. There's apps you can look at. You can Google online what are more non-toxic products. But you might want to look into a toxin test. We do urine testing that will look at your toxic levels of these kinds of things.
Yeah, yet again, very concerning, causing cancer in humans. We have been speaking with Dr. Sogol Ash, internal medicine doctor, and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, earlier today, President Trump signed an executive order that promises to crack down on unreasonable practices by foreign countries that suppress drug prices abroad. Let's take a listen in.
And they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed, so I'm very proud of that. I also want to thank Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio for their work and efforts. They worked very hard on that. We also, as you know, created a situation where the Houthis, for the first time ever, have ceased firing, and they've let it be known that they're not going to be firing at American ships anymore, not going to be firing at Americans anymore. This was a heavy barrage that lasted for approximately 50 days. And as you know, they've been in war essentially for forever. But over the last 10 years, they've been very difficult for other countries. Nobody was able to do what we did. But they stopped, and we take their word for it. Their surrogates and them directly said, we don't want to do this anymore. And so we were satisfied with that. In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States. I spoke to Tim Cook this morning, and he's going to, I think, even up his numbers, $500 billion. He's going to be building a lot of plants in the United States for Apple, and we look forward to that. I really do look forward to that. But the talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest. And they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, a great trade deal, but it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal, but it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, et cetera. And we agreed to that. People thought it was 15 because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I said, you got to get 50. Because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them? My Secretary of Agriculture at the time, Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with the deal at 15. And I said, no way, I want 50 because you said 50. They said, sir, we didn't say that anyway. Bottom line, I said, go back and ask for 50. And they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal. And we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal. And then when Biden got in, they no longer honored the deal. There was nobody to call. I would call on an average of once every 2 weeks to say, come on, you have to speed it up a little bit. And our farmers were doing great. I said to them, buy more land and bigger tractors, if you remember. That's what happened. But the deal was a very good deal. But the best part of the deal was that we opened up China. China agreed to open itself up to American business to go in. And it would have been a great thing, I think, for China. They would be able to see things that they haven't seen. They would be able to buy products that they had never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. I said, they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all
All right, yet again, President Trump discussing the suspension of most tariffs for 90 days with China. As a result, the financial world, in essence, jumping for joy. Well, this upcoming Thursday, the Washington, D.C. alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated will host the 4th annual Walter E. Fondroy Legislative Day. Now, the event will take place at the John A. Wilson Building. That's right in the heart of Northwest D.C., followed by a reception and policy discussion at the historic Kappa House. That's located right there on S Street, 1700 block to be exact. Now, the Legislative Day will welcome a number of council members, and the annual gathering really provides an opportunity for the fraternity members to advocate for the resources and the policy changes necessary to help district residents realize their full potential. Joining me now to discuss this and so much more happens to be Mr. Don Greenwood. He is the polemarch of Kappa Alpha Psi Alumni Chapter, and Mr. Gordon Fletcher, the vice polemarch of the Washington Alumni Chapter and chair of the event. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I got to tell you, this is a big deal for folks that don't understand with regard to how vast this is and what you all are doing and making sure you're giving back in a major way and keeping the issues forefront. Do tell. What is it exactly that you hope to get across?
Okay, so for over the 100 years, Washington, D.C. Alumni Chapter has been in existence in the city. We've been a pivotal part in the city to making sure we better the city for our youth, women, seniors, and families all across all 8 wards. This year, we have 3 pivotal initiatives that we're looking to address, and I'm going to let Brother Gordon Fletcher speak to those.
Thank you very much, Brother Polmark, and good afternoon, everyone. The 3 pivotal policy priorities for us this year focus on around seniors, young people, and overall safety for all Washingtonians. The first is Every Kid Connects to DC. One of our Kappa Leaguers, Cameron Crawford, we've already met with council members advocating for a one-on-one computer or learning opportunity for every student to be connected to the internet through a use of a computer. Next, in terms of preserving senior housing, we want to thank Mayor Bowser, the council members for continuing to support the Housing Production Trust Fund. And so we want to make sure that we provide further advocacy around that. And not just that, but also for our churches and our faith-based institutions to support senior housing. And then lastly, safety. We want to support Councilmember Brooke Pinto's bill known as Peace DC that emphasizes youth protection, youth safety, mentorship, and structured mentorship and development for our young people. So those are the 3 areas that we're focused on for our upcoming 4th annual Walter E. Fondroy Legislative Day.
I want to jump back, if you will, to connecting DC children to the world. I absolutely love this. And the reason why I say that is because you all are looking to really foster more engaged learning. But that's exactly what the Kappa League is about as well, correct?
Yeah, so right now, currently, we're very proud of our Kappa League. We have over 60 young men that we mentor. In this particular legislative day, we'll have 10 of our young Kappa Leaguers to join us as well to become part of the fabric of making a change within the city. We look at this as a training for leadership. That's one of our biggest mottos, is always training for leadership. Along with our Kappa Leaguers, we also have our undergraduate members of Kappa Alpha Psi to join us as well. Once again, training for leadership and helping to become a fabric of the city.
And just like our Polmark stated, this is an intergenerational opportunity, right? And we pride ourselves on being intergenerational leaders, us being established men in our careers and with our families, but also making sure we train up the next generation of leaders and educating them on what it means to be civically engaged at a young age.
Yeah, you all will be joined by council members Brooke Pinto, along with council member Robert White, at-large council member, I should add. It goes yet again to show the caliber of the respect, if you will, that the organization has, that they are going to show up to actually take part in this monumental event.
No question. We thank the council members for giving us their time. They have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of competing interests. But yes, through the work of our past poll marks, so many Kappa men that have given to our city, we appreciate them taking some time out to hear us and, more importantly, hear from our Kappa Leaguers.
Yeah, definitely. The council has been great throughout the years in supporting us and letting us be a part of their initiatives and trying to help improve the city. So we want to definitely thank the council for allowing us to be a part.
And Mayor Bowser.
As well.
Well,
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you as well. Why? Because, yet again, I think more emphasis, if you will, needs to focus on Black Greek letter organizations addressing the evolving needs of the community. And that's exactly what you all are doing.
Indeed.
Indeed.
All right. Yet again, we have been joined by Mr. Don Greenwood. He is the Polemarch, and Gordon Fletcher, Vice Polemarch at the Washington Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated, DC chapter at that. Folks that want to find out more information, how would one go about to do so?
Oh, well, all right. Since my Pope working, I always take cues from him. Please follow us on IG, Instagram at DC Noops. We have a very robust, active organization and membership. So we, ask you to check us out on Instagram and, also follow us on our website, dcnoops.com.
Absolutely.
Love it. Gentlemen, truly appreciate you coming on the show. Yo, Noops.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yo.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, how about a little celebrity dish? Life with Lindsay joins us next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. How about a little celebrity dish, shall we, on a Monday? Life with Lindsay joins us back here on the LZ. Happy Monday, Lindsay. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Happy Monday. You got the big smile on. I love it. New week, new energy.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Got a chance to talk with my mom and obviously celebrated Mother's Day. And I'm sure you did the same. And so no complaints on my end. It's all good.
That's good. I love it. I just, the smile, it's like, yes, it's new week. It's good to see you guys.
I tell you what, Lindsay, come Friday, it's going to be even bigger.
Okay, why is that?
Because it's the weekend. Hey, who doesn't love the weekend, right?
Right.
All right, let's kick it off in this case. It was a Mother's Day fit for a queen, or make that several queens. Yes, the Queen's Tour officially kicked off yesterday in Los Angeles last night. Soul legends Chaka Khan, Gladys Knight, Stephanie Mills, and one of my faves, Patti LaBelle, proving they still preside over the throne. Now, the tour stops in Baltimore next week and then pulls up right here in D.C. come October the 3rd. I am loving this, Lindsay. What say you?
Yeah, one word, iconic. I mean, this is the show you don't want to miss. I mean, and how many more years will they actually be on tour? You don't ever know. So I would say you should definitely go.
Yeah, they are, to your point, true legends. In quick story,
100%.
I had Patti LaBelle on my radio show years ago. and I told her my mom happened to be her biggest fan. Would you believe she picked up the phone and called my mom to say, hey, this is Patty LaBelle? My mom almost fainted, couldn't believe it. Isn't that cool?
Oh my God. That's amazing. And that also speaks to her character because not everybody would do that. So I love that so much. I love that story.
Yeah, it's a hot ticket to get, and I got to tell you, I got to get one of those tickets because I definitely want to see those icons. All right, let's talk about Lizzo now because she made an appearance on The Breakfast Club this morning. She spoke about her weight loss journey and says she had to clear out her mind of all the negativity around her. She calls it a weight release. Lizzo says she's always been in a good place because she's been a positive person. She says she took a period of isolation just to clear out all that negativity. A good thing, Lindsay?
I think this is a great thing. And I think that it's great she's actually talking about this as well because people were kind of a little on edge with her because she would, post these things about body positivity. And then she would post that, she was upset. And I think she was battling kind of her own demons there. So I think it's really awesome that she's coming out and talking about this and talking about the journey and that it just looks like she's in a completely different place. So I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, we remember, wasn't it her dancers or something like that that had so many negative things to say about her and how toxic she happened to be? Do I have that right?
Oh yeah, I mean I don't know if it's actually settled, but there was a lawsuit too, and I think that's another reason why she was going through a hard time, and I think she stepped away from the spotlight for a little while because of that. I'm not actually sure what happened with that lawsuit.
Yeah, I can tell you, and I tell folks time and time again, it's all about that energy, and if you got positive energy around you, well, then most likely you will be positive as well. So we wish her the best. I'm a big Lizzo fan, so I hope it's all good in her neighborhood. All right, new proof that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are still going strong. I know that made you happy, Lindsay. TMZ says the superstar couple was spotted in Philadelphia over Mother's Day weekend. TMZ also says they were likely there visiting Travis's brother, Jason, and his wife, who gave birth to their fourth child a few weeks ago. Now, this is the first time the couple has been seen together in public in several months. There was speculation that there was, let's say, turmoil in paradise, but that's not the case, Lindsay.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think anybody cares anymore. I mean, all the conspiracy. I mean, I'm just saying with Travis and her, because like the conspiracy theories were that, he was going to propose to her and then obviously they didn't win the Super Bowl and then they were going to break up, but none of that happened. So now it's just like, okay, they're like any old couple,
I can't believe you said that. I think the world still does care.
That's what I think.
Well, I would beg to differ. Why? Because I'm talking about it now. And I mean, it's one of the big stories. And I think once football season starts again, that'll probably be at the top of the list. What's going on with them more so than, whatever team is doing whatever. Well,
that's what I mean. Like there was all the hype around the football season and then it ended and then they didn't break up. And so now they're like, okay, they're still together. That's kind of more so what I meant. Just the hype died down because they didn't win the Super Bowl and they didn't break up is what I meant.
So do you think, not to put you on the spot, but do you think that he's going to pop the question anytime soon, this year, ever?
I mean, I would think that it's got to be coming down the pipeline at some point because they've been together for a while. So for her sake, I would say I hope so.
All right. Well, I hope we get an invite should that happen. That would be pretty cool. Remember, you and I are supposed to host something together, so it could be cool if it happens to be their wedding.
One of these
All
days.
right, let's move on to Jennifer Lopez. She happens to be in a celebratory mood. Why? Well, she just finished shooting her upcoming film, Office Romance, and she's now hitting the beach for some fun in the sun. The actress-singer gave everybody a sneak peek at her day at the beach in a video she uploaded to IG Sunday. Now, wherever she is, the place looks like paradise, and J-Lo seems very happy to be there. What are you thinking about J-Lo, Lindsay?
Well, I think that no matter what she does, she looks so amazing. I mean, she needs to drop her diet or like a fitness training course on Instagram or something, because no matter what happens in J-Lo's life, who she's married to, who she's not married to, I'll tell you one thing, she is going to look good. And I just think she looks happy. And I wish that we knew how she always continuously stays in that mode, no matter what's happened in her life.
I got the answer, Lindsay. I'm going to tell you right now. You ready?
Yeah.
It's the amount of zeros in her bank account.
Well, yeah, that helps. I'll tell you that. I know that.
That'll put a smile on my face, and I'm pretty sure it'll put a smile on yours as well. Hey, what's going on with Ben, by the way? Is he with Jen? What's up with that whole situation?
I don't know. There are rumors that he's hooking back up with his ex, but obviously no one's come out and confirmed that. They haven't even touched it. But there's been rumors that that they're hanging out, I guess, but we don't really know at this point.
Yeah, well, either way, all three of them, see, Jen, Ben, and J-Lo, they're still all smiles, yet again, because of all those zeros in their bank account.
Exactly. We'd
All
be
right.
smiling too.
So, I'm going to ask you, and I hope we've made progress here, Lindsay. What are you working on? Can you tell us yet?
Yes. Well, I can tell you one thing. Let me just say that. So, CMA Fest is a huge country music festival that happens here in Nashville, and I do an entertainment report for Access Tennessee, which is a radio network, and we're going to be broadcasting live and doing some hit in the streets content all 4 days, which is June 5th through the 8th. So
Congratulations. That is awesome. You go, girl. as they
Yeah,
like
I'm
to
pretty
say.
excited. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, we're excited for you. And quite honestly, I'm excited that you finally told us. Just one
Well,
little
that's
nugget.
just one thing. There's still other stuff I can't say yet, but yes, that's one thing.
Well, we absolutely love you. Life with Lindsay joining us right here for a little celebrity dish on a Monday. Always good to see you, Lindsay.
Always good to see you too. Thanks. Have a good one.
No doubt. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So it's official. Israel has released the Israeli-American hostage EDAN Alexander from captivity in Gaza. The 21-year-old has been in captivity for more than a year. At one point, his family thought perhaps he was dead. Obviously, that's not the case. This is a goodwill gesture, if you will, by Hamas, and as a result, a ceasefire may very well occur. At least that's what we hope. Joining us now to discuss this is Mr. Scott Feldman. He is the Executive Vice President of the One Israel Fund and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Scott, it's been some time. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be back. How are you?
I'm good, and I think we could say that you're probably good as well, as is the family of Mr. EDAN Alexander, who was actually released after 19 months in captivity. I cannot imagine, but today is a good day, sir.
Today is a very good day. I mean, we still hope the other live and also deceased or murdered hostages are returned, but today is a good day to celebrate the return of EDAN Alexander. We've prayed for him for, like you said, 19 months.
Yeah. And so obviously he was released and he was taken immediately to a hospital. There he was giving a physical and mental evaluation and then returned to his family. This is a step, in essence, that Hamas and the Americans brokered. But I have to present this question, and that is, where's Israel at in all of this?
So I know there's been a lot of information flowing around, and I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm privy to the highest levels of the government, but Israel is sending a delegation to Qatar tomorrow to continue negotiations. So I find it hard to believe that things were not in coordination with Israel. I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu understands that President Trump has an obligation, first and foremost, to American hostages being held. And that's what President Trump negotiated and brokered. I think the obvious win here is that no terrorists had to be released in order to release EDAN Alexander, and that's a win for everyone. The Prime Minister came out and basically said, it's not going to hinder any plans that Israel may have on the table right now, but Israel wants peace. Israel had never asked for this. October 7th came at the sole discretion of Hamas, murdered thousands of our people, took over 250 hostages, and all Israel has been fighting for is to return those hostages, and ultimately to bring the demise of Hamas, which has been a detriment to the Palestinian people just as much as it has been to the Israelis.
Scott, you hit the nail right on the head, and that is, you said that Mr. EDAN Alexander was released without the exchange of any prisoners. Why did Hamas do this?
I think Hamas sees the writing on the wall, that their days are numbered, and I think that they're doing anything they can in order to try to convince the Americans to help negotiate on its behalf. I don't think that it will work. I think that President Trump is not naive to the fact that Hamas is a terrorist organization that is doing just as much damage to the Palestinian people as to the Israelis and ultimately to the Americans and anybody else living in that area. But Hamas is kind of throwing a Hail Mary right now in order to try to stay in power, and I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, we know that Israel, to your point, is actually looking to seize and hold territory in that area, the Gaza Strip, I should add, in that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said that they will still work to have the other hostages freed. Do you think that's going to happen anytime in the near future?
Look, we didn't think this would happen. It's been months since the last exchange of hostages for terrorists. I think that the Prime Minister leaves all cards on the table. But I think that he believes, and I believe that the Israeli people back him, that Hamas cannot remain in power because then we'll just be going back to the same paradigm over and over again. So he believes that maximum pressure, military pressure, will bring about the release of our hostages. And I have to believe that he's correct, because the only time that Hamas has made these gestures is when they feel that that their grip on power is slipping through. So the more pressure that's placed on them militarily, I believe, will bring about the release of our hostages.
Scott, we know that a blockade still continues, if you will, with regard to humanitarian aid for those living in the Gaza Strip. With the move that Hamas now made, do you think that humanitarian blockade, if you will be released?
There is an American plan on the table right now. And I believe that Israel is working with the Americans, and Israel has never been really against humanitarian aid so long as it can be guaranteed not to go into the hands and storage houses of Hamas. It has basically propped up the Hamas government for the past 19 months. Hamas has been stealing the aid and then selling it at exorbitant prices, and that's really what's been fueling their war machine. So if there is a way of ensuring that humanitarian aid can get to those who need it, Israel and America are working to find every possibility of doing so. And it seems that the Americans and the Israelis are working together on trying to bring that about. Unfortunately, the UN is actually fighting against this because their own what I want to say is terrorist entity UNRWA is being sidelined on this. So that's a good thing, and I believe that if we can get the humanitarian aid to the families who need it, that they will do everything in their power to bring that about.
Yeah, yet again, truly a monumental day with the release of Israeli-American hostage EDAN Alexander. They say no question is a dumb question, but yet again, I am going to pose this, and that is, in a perfect world, and I know it's the release of the hostages, but how do you see this playing out? What exactly could happen immediately, yet again, to bring smiles to all of our faces, let's say tomorrow?
Well, the answer is always obvious. It's not a dumb question. If Hamas would put down its weapons and agree to give up their rulership, then not only will the hostages be returned, but we might be able to enter into a more peaceful existence between on that border. In essence, you know, the Palestinians were given a de facto state back in 2005 when Israel completely left the Gaza Strip. And you talked about the embargo. There's also a sea embargo because Hamas turned it into a terrorist entity. They took all of the billions and billions of dollars that had been given to them in aid, and instead of building a society for their people, they built it into terror tunnels and a war machine against the Israelis. So the answer is very, very simple on that question. If Hamas would agree to abdicate their rulership in the Gaza Strip, the hostages would be immediately returned, and we could start the process of rebuilding a better future for the Palestinians that are living there, and also for those Palestinians who wish to build a better future elsewhere, which they're not allowed to do right now because they're being used as pawns in this war machine that Hamas has built.
Scott, we'll end with this, and that is we know the president is embarking on his historic Middle East tour. I want to bring Iran into this picture as well, and we know that the president says very good things are happening with Iran after the latest nuclear talks. Do you think that's going to be successful overall?
No, unfortunately, I don't think that any discussions with the current regime in Iran will lead to a peaceful situation. I believe that Iran cannot be trusted. They have proven that over the years, over decades, that they cannot be trusted. We just found out about a new nuclear facility that's existed for the past 10 years that was just uncovered. You know, I commend the president for trying to figure out a diplomatic solution, but ultimately I don't believe that that's going to be a successful resolution to the situation. And unfortunately, I think that there's only two possibilities that will bring about the desired resolution the president hopes for, and that's either military or regime change. And unfortunately, I don't see either of those right now on the horizon while the Americans are engaging in negotiations. But ultimately, I think that's going to be the end result going forward.
One of the subjects that happens to be at the top of the president's agenda as yet again he embarks on his Middle East tour. We've been speaking with Mr. Scott Feldman, Executive Vice President of One Israel Fund, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Scott.
Guy, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, you are taking a live look at Newark Airport, where we are awaiting the Transportation Secretary, Mr. Duffy. He will be addressing the air traffic control failures, which in essence has now prompted a major overhaul. When that happens, we'll take you there yet again live to Newark Airport. Well, peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are now set for later this week, as we hear from correspondent Stephanie Bennett with more.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is calling for Russian President Putin to come to the negotiation table after ignoring his latest efforts to put an end to the three-year war. Russia launched over 100 decoy drones at Ukraine overnight, dismissing Zelensky's proposal of a full and unconditional 30-day ceasefire. Meantime, European and U.S. allies are ramping up pressure on Russia, demanding it accept the ceasefire or face increased sanctions.
If he turns his back on peace, we will respond, working with President Trump, with all our partners. We will ramp up sanctions and increase our military aid for Ukraine's defence to pressure Russia back to the table.
The Europeans will want peace. Ukraine and the government of President Zelensky want peace. Now it's up to Russia and Vladimir Putin to give their answer.
The Ukrainian people are losing faith that peace can be achieved after Russia launched attacks during its own declared three-day ceasefire.
I want to believe that, but will the ceasefire happen? There was no ceasefire at night, but we hope that something will happen, that it will stop. I don't know. It's hard to believe, but we hope for the best.
While ignoring the ceasefire offer, Putin proposed direct talks in Turkey on Thursday, something Zelensky says he is ready for.
I will be in Turkey this Thursday, May 15th, and I expect Putin to come to Turkey as well. We are ready to talk to end this war.
Putin and Zelensky have only met once in 2019. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
All right, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, and if I haven't already said so, happy Mother's Day. Yes, I know I'm a day late, but better late than never. Heck, you leave it up to me, we should celebrate Mom's Day in and day out, which leads me to this. The best and worst states for working moms. You see, women make up nearly half of the U.S. workforce, and 74% of moms with children under 18 were working last year. Working moms still face an uphill battle in the workplace, though, as their average hourly wage is only 85% of what men make. Joining us now to discuss this, our guy, Mr. Chip Lupo from Wallet Hub, back here on the Live Zone. Happy Monday, Chip.
Happy Monday to you, Guy, and a happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yeah, it was great. Life with Lindsay earlier said, Guy, you're smiling from ear to ear. Yep, still feeling really good about celebrating all things mom, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing. All right, let's talk about this study, Chip, that you all conducted. In this case, the best and worst states for working moms. Break down the criteria, if you will, and what you were able to discover.
Well, sure, Guy. What we did is that we compared the 50 states and the District of Columbia across three key dimensions: child care, professional opportunities, and work-life balance. And from there, we compared them across 17 key metrics, and those range from everything from parental leave policies, child care costs, quality of public schools, and median salaries.
All right, and so with that being said, we're going to do the drum roll, please. And in this case, we want to know, well, let's look at the top four, if you will, with regard to the best states for working moms.
Right, and the Eastern Seaboard is well represented in the top four, starting with Washington, D.C. at number 4, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts at number 1. D.C. has a lot going for it as far as being a friendly environment for working moms for the most part. Now, there were some things here that we'll discuss that may have kept them out of that top 3, but first in pediatricians per capita, first in the share of nationally accredited child care centers, and first in the number of child care workers per total number of children. And there's also a very high fourth in the median women's salary at a little over $56,000. And they fourth in Wallet Hub's best states for working moms study.
I'm looking at the stats here as well, Chip, and I see with regard to professional opportunities in D.C., that came in second. That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal, and that's where the median women's salary at $56,305. Second in the gender representation gap in different economic sectors. So job opportunities for women are not just limited to a specific number. It's a pretty wide variety out there. And it is also first, this is key, #1 overall in the female executive to male executive ratio. So there's pretty good balance there in women who are in the executive roles in businesses in DC.
Yeah. Chip, I got to be honest with you. I was somewhat surprised that DC ranked 4th with regard to good child care. I can't tell you how many conversations and or studies, or stories rather, that I've reported on where child care happened to be questioned right here in the nation's capital.
Well, the quality is high in DC, 4th overall in the quality of daycare in that metric. Now, what drops DC down significantly, as you might expect, is they're 45th in the costs for childcare. The quality is there, but the cost, that's probably where your biggest complaint is going to come as far as childcare in the DC area.
All right, let's head north over the line into Maryland. And in this case, they ranked number 11. Okay, that's not it could be a lot better, but here's the great news. #1 in Maryland for professional opportunities. High five going out to Maryland.
Yes, Maryland did well. And again, what the common thread between DC, Maryland, and Virginia, as you might expect, and some areas that probably would have gotten them a little bit higher rankings, were very low rankings across the board in women's average commute times and the women's average length of a woman's work week. Now, as far as Maryland, they ranked very well, top 10 in daycare quality, school system quality, medians women's salary, and they were ranked very high in our best states from working from home. Virginia, on the other hand, pretty low numbers in daycare quality and childcare costs. There's a pretty high gender pay gap. Again, as we mentioned, very low in average commute times and length of women's work week. So overall, not bad for Maryland. Virginia's got some work to do, but some pretty stellar numbers for Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you're talking about my home state there, Chip. Watch it now. In this case, Virginia ended up being ranked number 31 on this list. And to your point, for me, that's quite troubling. I mean, yet again, and it's interesting at the same time because obviously, D.C., you go north, you're hitting Maryland. You go south, you're right there in Virginia. But really a big change with regard to each, or with respect to each and every area, if you will. In this case, state and or district.
Now, to be fair, it's not necessarily limited to the D.C. area. Virginia's a pretty large state, so you have quite a diverse socioeconomic background. You can go all the way west out to coal mining country, pretty rural, maybe not as many opportunities. Richmond, urban areas, got its share of economic problems. So yeah, so when we talk about Virginia, let's just not single out the DC area because it is a pretty large state. And while what goes on in Fairfax and Arlington and areas affects a lot of DC, it's a pretty wide state there.
Yeah, all right. Well, the good news out of all of this, DC yet again ranked number 4 with regard to the best states for working moms. Chip, love having you on the show, sir. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure as always. Thank you, Guy.
No doubt. Mr. Chip Lupo with Wallet Hub joining us right here on the Live Zone. We'll take a quick break, guys, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the Fox 5 Live Zone. It's a Monday, and on Monday, what do? Monday Talkers. Joining us, Fox 5 contributor Autumn Joy back in the LZ. Good to see you. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Hi, Guy Lambert.
Did
It's
you-
always good to see you, my friend.
Well, it's always good to see you, especially the day after Mom's Day. Happy
Yes.
late Mother's Day
Thank
to
you. Went and got my eyebrows done. You know, just listen, something I can't do when I have the baby, so I got them done.
Well, they look amazing, I
Thank
should
you.
add. Speaking of amazing, you had a big announcement earlier today.
Yes, I did. So I wrote my very first children's
Oh my
book.
gosh, congratulations,
Yes,
Autumn.
thank you. It's called Joy on the Radio, and we're radio kids at heart,
Right.
guys. So it's about a little girl in 5th grade who just goes on her journey to become the morning announcer at her elementary school, Clover Elementary, and she takes pointers from her auntie Autumn Joy, who's a big radio personality. And I don't know, do you know anybody named Autumn Joy?
Yeah, just maybe. She's sitting right next to me.
Oh, that's me. It's such it's a labor of love, you know. It's such an amazing book. So yeah, that was my big announcement.
How did this come to be? I mean, you were just sitting at home one day, and because you've conquered the world already, and so just say, hey, let me write a book now.
Yeah, you know what? I've always wanted to write a book, and initially I was like, do I do a manuscript? Do I do a how-to? I was like, you know what? I have kids. Why not do a kid's book? And I met my publishers. Shout out to Eddie and Christina at Sledge House Media. And when I tell you the process was so seamless, it was so easy.
Really?
And it was really fun, very insightful. Writing a book isn't as easy as people think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a labor of love. And again, it's just something I've always wanted to do. So
Wow,
it's the
I
first
am so
of many.
excited for you.
Yeah,
Yet
thank
again,
you.
I'm serious. You have conquered the world, and to see this
Aw.
come to fruition, it's just, golly, there's nothing you can't do, Autumn.
Hey, why not? Just keep going. You know, just keep on going.
And how can folks grab it?
Oh, they can just, it's available for pre-order. Just go to sledgehousemedia.com and you can grab it there.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get into some of our talkers. So, Autumn, if you happen to be someone that gets the ick on a regular basis with regard to someone you're dating, you may very well be a narcissist. According to a newly released study, well, those who experience this feeling often might possess personality traits that indicate narcissism. The study found that, let's say you don't like what your spouse is wearing, and or how he or she smells, and or how he or she looks, well, it may just boil down to YOU. What say you, Autumn?
Whoever made this term up is a narcissist because what? Like, absolutely not. So now we can't have dislikes.
Yeah.
Now I can't have a preference. Now it's like people are putting labels on things that don't need to be labeled. A textbook narcissist, what you don't like and how someone smells has nothing to do with personality, like you as a human being on the inside.
Right.
I don't like this.
You know, I thought about this when I read this, and I can kind of see where it comes into play, mainly because that means I'm thinking about me all the time. It's all about me if I don't look like how you look. And so perhaps I'm going a little bit extreme, and so I get it. I can see both sides.
Yeah, I guess, but you can also have a preference. So what, am I supposed to suffer in silence while you're wearing cut jeans? Like, no, absolutely not.
One thing about Autumn, she's going to tell it like it is.
Yes, I am. Take off those boot cut jeans and let me dress you correctly. Because no.
Speaking of moms, obviously we celebrated Mom's Day yesterday. Don't tell your mom this. In this case, we're talking about less than half of young Americans think having kids is important, according to a newly released study. Out of the more than 2,000 18 to 29-year-olds surveyed for this year's Harvard Youth Poll, well, only 48% said procreating is crucial, and even fewer, 46%, believed children were within reach. What are you thinking about this?
You know what? I think this is on trend. I was talking to a group of young kids actually last week, and none of them wanted to have kids. I mean, it's been like a resound. My nieces, you know, when I was their age, I always thought about having a family, right? One day when I'm old enough. But these kids now, they're like, nope, I don't want kids. I just want to make my money. I want to be a rich auntie. Like, I think social media has really kind of shifted the way that kids look at families now. And it's a little sad. You know, but I think as they get older with maturity and they, you know, understand how life works, hopefully their mindset changes. But yeah, no, this is a trend. Kids, these young adults, they do not want kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gone are the days of that happening. I'm thinking back to our parents. That was the American dream. You finish college, you immediately get married, you have kids, and you go on about your business.
Yep. Live life. Yeah.
But
no,
I
not
guess
now.
that's no longer happening. And case in point that you could still be successful. Look at you.
No, thank you, Guy. Do I look successful? Because I am a mess, baby.
Well, I hope some of it rubs off on me right here. We'll end with this, and that is everything you need to know about chaos gardening. You ever heard about this?
I have
Chaos
not.
gardening is a fun, easy way to grow plants without strict plans. You see, instead of, let's say, neat rows, you scatter seeds like flowers, veggies, or herbs, and let nature decide what grows. Is
You
this
know
something
what?
that you would do?
I've been doing that this whole time and did not know it had a name. I am very much a scatter because I have a green thumb, well, greenish, like my whole sunroom. I mean, I have plants everywhere. They
Yeah.
all have names. I go and I talk to them. I make sure I do my banana water, you know, all of the things, right? But there's no rhyme or reason. Like, I just put them wherever, and I've never repotted them. I don't follow any rules, but they are all flourishing. And I think people have to remember, plants are living things.
That
so
they
I
are.
think my singing, because I sing.
Oh, wow.
Me. I sing to my plants every morning.
I
and
told
they're
you she could do
beautiful.
everything. I find it weird that you would plant tomatoes right next to carrots in the midst of cucumbers. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
if you're scattering, that's what's going to happen if you just let it go, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, why not have a cucumber, a tomato and a cucumber? A cucumber.
You know what, Autumn?
Listen, it's a hybrid. You know, half the battle. Look, I'm telling you, it'll work.
Oh,
It'll work.
gosh. Only from Autumn Joy. Speaking of Autumn Joy, make sure you get your hands on the brand new children's book, Joy on the Radio. You see it right there on your screen. We are just so proud of what you've been able to do. Don't get it now, but get it right now.
Hey.
Autumn Joy joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Autumn.
You
You're
too.
welcome. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
They had turned the mic down. Someone had turned the mic down.
It's open now.
Yeah, I hear what you're talking. Thank you.
All right, guys, just like that, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone on a Monday. And when it comes to what's happening in the amazing county of Fairfax County, you know who we're going to. Our guy. There he is, Mr. Vernon Miles, FFX Now, back here on the LZ. What's up, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Excited
Yeah,
to
but
be
of
here.
course. Vernon, I got to tell you, I bumped into you in the green room. I guess that was, what, Thursday or Friday, and you were all decked out in a suit. I'm getting used to seeing you in a suit, sir. Very spiffy there.
Yeah, this is my more casual newsroom atmosphere. I only wear suits to go into Fox 5, to be honest.
It's funny, my mom made a comment. She said, wow, he's really snazzy. So job well done, sir. Let's talk about what's happening in Fairfax. In this case, we're going to start it off with a number of arts groups starting to feel the sting, if you will, of federal downsizing. It was due to happen, and I guess it's happening in a major way.
Yeah, we talked to Arts Fairfax this week. It's a major arts organization that promotes, as you might imagine, arts around Fairfax. They kind of receive grants from the federal government and the state.
Vernon,
Yeah?
you're gonna be upset, but I'm gonna have to ask you a thought. We're going to now go to Newark Airport, where the Transportation Secretary, Mr. Duffy, is now addressing the air traffic control technical failures. Let's take a listen in.
And so I want to lay out how we got here, what's going on in Newark, and what our plan is to actually fix it under this Trump administration. who, by the way, fixes problems, doesn't cause problems. So how we got here. In July of 2024, the Biden-Buttigieg FAA moved control of the Newark airspace from New York, or also known as N90, to Philadelphia Tower or the Philadelphia TRACON. As part of the move, the STARS system that processes radar data for Newark remained based in New York, so they didn't move it from New York down to Philly, where the controllers would be. Redundant and diverse telecommunication line feeds this data from New York to Philadelphia TRACON, where controllers handle New York arrivals and departures. The Biden-Buttigieg FAA bungled this move without properly hardening the telecom lines feeding the data, which was already well known to be error-prone. Without addressing the underlying infrastructure, they added more risk to the system. In fact, there were issues in October and November under Biden and Buttigieg that would have highlighted to the prior administration that the underlying hardware would continue to cause problems. That, along with their overall neglect of our whole aviation system and the aging issues that we've highlighted over the course of the last several weeks, were clear mistakes of their administration. So let's talk about where we are now. What's going on in Newark? So a trio of recent equipment issues at Philadelphia on April 28th, May 9th, and May 11th affecting communication radar displays has highlighted the antiquated nature of the nation's air traffic control system, which is still using copper wires and other outdated technology. The incidents on April 28th and May 9th resulted in very brief outages that impacted the STARS radar data displays going down. The most serious of these outages lasted approximately 30 seconds. This includes the STARS radar data displays going down again for 30 seconds. The STARS displays took approximately 60 seconds then to reboot and come back online. So there's been some discrepancy, 30 seconds versus 90 seconds. The outage was 30 seconds, but then the displays took another minute to boot. That's where you get 30 and 90 seconds. But the telecom was out for 30 seconds. The outage also interrupted the phone line and radio frequencies for a very short period. This is how controllers talk to pilots. Radio frequency connections to phone lines via voice switches are the primary way those controllers do talk to pilots. These frequencies returned almost immediately, which is why you heard pilots actually telling airplanes that they couldn't see them with the radar. They were able to talk to the airplanes, but couldn't see the radars or the airplanes on their scopes. These issues, along with staffing shortages at Philadelphia and runway construction at Newark, have led to the delays for passengers. So in response, on Friday night, the FAA implemented a software update to prevent future outages. The software patch was successful, and our redundant lines are now both working. We know this because on Sunday there was an outage. You all reported on that. And the outage was, the main line went down, but the redundant line did stand up, meaning our patch, our fix worked. Now, because of that, the controllers who had seen this the prior two times, when they saw the main line go down, they were concerned. Even though they could see airplanes and talk to airplanes, out of an abundance of caution, they actually shut down the airspace for 45 minutes. But we still had our scopes and our telecom functioning on Sunday morning. So it's important to note that, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, this system is so old that even if you have high-speed fiber information coming in to a TRACON or a tower, the equipment that we use is so old, the information has to be slowed down. It comes in too fast. It has to go at the speed of copper wires. So again, we have two issues: the reliability of the telecom, but also the old equipment that we're using paired together are causing a lot of issues in the system. So let's talk about what the Trump administration is doing moving forward to fix the problems that were left to us from the Biden-Buttigieg administration. Now, while these temporary software fixes that I mentioned earlier that worked on Sunday morning should prevent future outages, the core issue is the telecommunication lines. Here's what we're doing to fix the telecom. One, I'll be requesting an OIG investigation into the failures of the last administration and the decisions that were made to move the TRACON from N90 in New York down to Philadelphia, and the work that was done to plan for this move and making sure that the lines were hardened. The FAA today is assembling a tiger team of experts to fully fast-track the fixes that we've identified need to be done to make sure this works. The FAA has replaced copper lines with fiber lines at Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia. That work is done. It was done in the last couple weeks. However, it's going to take another week or two to be testing those two lines before we flip the switch and make them live. We're also, we're going to flip that, but it's 1 to 2 weeks. It's going to actually happen, we hope, at the end of May. We have spoken with the heads of Verizon and L3 Harris to understand why the telecom issues persist and how we can expedite those fixes. And again, we work with L3 Harris as our contractor, and Verizon is on the ground offering the support on the lines that run actually the telecom into the TRACON. They've assured me that this work is their top priority, especially Verizon. I spoke with their CEO yesterday. It's a top priority. They're going to move this work as fast as possible to get efficient and effective lines working for Newark. The goal is to add 3 new telecommunication connections between New York and Philadelphia. This will provide more high-speed, reliability, and redundancy, so if one goes down, we are assured that the others will stand up. The goal is to have this done as soon as possible. I'll give you an update as soon as we hear back from Verizon on how quickly they can progress with this work. Let me be clear. Even with these new lines, we still, as I mentioned, have to dumb down the data feed from these outdated systems inside of our towers, our centers, and our TRACONs. Again, I showed this last week. We're using equipment that looks like it's off the Apollo 13 set. And so today we have high-speed fiber, but when it comes into the TRACON, we do slow it down so it can be used by the old equipment. Our hope is to have high-speed fiber connections and then new technology in these towers, in TRACONs and centers, so we can maximize the use of American airspace. Number 5, the FAA is deploying a temporary backup system to the Philadelphia TRACON that will provide redundancy during the switch to a more reliable fiber optic network. This system will ensure that if both fiber connections fail, at the same time, air traffic controllers will still be able to communicate with aircraft and with other controllers. This fortifies communications, ensures it is uninterrupted if a dual fiber failure occurs. The FAA is going to establish a STARS hub at the Philadelphia TRACON so the facility doesn't have to pull that data from New York. So again, we're pulling it from New York. We want to bring that down to Philadelphia. By the way, the STARS system should have been brought down to Philadelphia before this TRACON was moved. Biden and Buttigieg did not bring it down. They just quickly moved the TRACON without having STARS in place and without testing how hard the equipment actually was in regard to telecommunications. Using existing statutory authority, I have as the Secretary of DOTE. The DOT will convene a delay reduction meeting this Wednesday with all airlines who have flights at Newark. The goal is to have a manageable number of flights land at Newark. Families shouldn't have to wait 4 or 5 hours for a flight that never takes off. By lowering the number of flights, we can ensure the ones that are kept, they do actually take off and they do actually land. This authority hasn't been used in over 20 years. As I've stated publicly, if Congress approves our plan, the President's plan, to build a brand new air traffic control system, work at Newark is going to be a priority. We will do that first. And so, again, to recap, and I'm going to pass it off to the administrator. We're in a situation where telecom is going down, and it's taken some time to isolate the problem, and we believe we've done that, but I don't think we're out of the woods yet. We actually have to spend the time now to build the network that should have been built before the TRACON was moved. I know this is frustrating. I know it's hard for the airlines operating out of Newark, the families that fly out of Newark. It's problematic. But our commitment is always safety. We're going to make sure that if you fly, you're going to fly safely. And if we reduce the number of flights at Newark, we're not doing it to annoy people. We're not doing it to delay people's travel. What we're doing is guaranteeing safety. And when you have problems, you actually slow things down. And that's what we've done. We've slowed down the flights at Newark until we can stand this system up and be assured that we have enough controllers and a system that's actually working to keep everybody safe. And again, we didn't have to be here. This did not have to be our story. Over the last 4 years, the last administration, they knew this was a problem. And by the way, during COVID, when people weren't flying, that was a perfect time to fix these problems. But again, they got $1.2 trillion for infrastructure, and virtually none of it went to fix the biggest American infrastructure problem that we have, which is our air traffic control system. And so what you see in Newark, we're going to have to fix. We're going to move fast, but we're going to do it right. My concern is that we could see other situations like this around the country because the system is old. It's old. And we are fighting to make sure we work with Congress, get the money, and begin this build of a brand new system as quickly as possible. This couldn't happen without the leadership of President Trump, who, again, I'm going to say, he talked to me when he gave me the job. He knew how old this system was. And so when I presented him this plan, he said, listen, I want you to walk through it. Are we going to do the whole thing? This is not a patchwork. It's not a Band-Aid. This is going to be everything. We're going to build it brand new. And I said, yes, Mr. President, this is a plan to build everything new. It's going to be complicated, but we don't want more Newarks. We don't want more Newarks to happen throughout the country. And so we are going to fix Newark. We have a plan to fix Newark. We ask for your patience. And then we're looking to Congress to give us the resources to fix air traffic for the whole country so no one has to deal with this in the future. And with that, I would like to pass it off to a guy who has done an amazing job in orchestrating his team, in building a Tiger team to make sure we can quickly and efficiently address the problems that we face at Newark and throughout the system. Our acting administrator of the FAA, Chris Rusholo.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good afternoon. Yes, as the Secretary just described, so we have an action plan moving forward here. Starting today, we've, under the Secretary's direction, we have initiated a task force, an emergency task force, comprised of experts, executive experts from the FAA, from L3 Harris Corporation, as well as from Verizon. We're very focused on making sure that travel into Newark is safe and efficient. I can tell you uncategorically that the travel into Newark today is safe, but we will continue to monitor that situation as it relates to the technologies that the Secretary referenced earlier. And we will also work with the airlines, and the second reference was through this delay reduction task force or meeting that we're having on Wednesday. That will be critical to working with the carriers to make sure that the travel season this summer is good for the American traveling public. So again, first and foremost, we have a task force starting today with the right technical experts to keep focus on this every single day and to be transparent about the progress we're making. And the second piece is to make sure that we're working with the airlines and the airport, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, to make sure that the travel into Newark this summer is safe. The final thing I would mention, and the Secretary touched on this as well, is it is time. We have seen delays and disruptions in the system. We need to get ahead of that. And by being bold and taking action on this new air traffic modernization program, that will be the long-term fix, even the midterm fix, to make sure that we continue to provide safe and efficient travel for the American traveling public.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. As a former controller and now as a manager that helps oversee the air traffic organization, top to bottom, in all my conversations with our management team and with the controllers, they look forward to new infrastructure. They look forward to the commitment that is being made by this administration and the leadership by Mr. Duffy to work on equipment that is younger than the children that they have. I will tell you, when I was in the Air Force and I was a controller in 1999, I actually was the test bed for STARS. That's when STARS first came out, was in 1999 at Eglin Air Force Base. We tested that. As a controller at Albuquerque Center, it was almost 20 years ago where the ERAM system came in. That's our automation for our en route centers. And the issues that we have with static on the frequencies were problematic then, it's exponential now. So we look forward, Mr. Secretary, to the new infrastructure, top to bottom. We applaud your efforts, sir. Thank you.
So we're happy to take any questions if you have any. Yes.
Mr. Secretary, thank you. Did we see more air traffic controllers from better staffed towers come to Newark to help out?
I'll take a stab at that. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it does take time to train up controllers from other areas. So if they move from the Potomac TRACON and move up to Philly, it takes up to a year to train them on that airspace, Frank. Am I right on that?
Average certification time, sir, for N90 is 2.5 years, but with our accelerated program, we hope to have that reduced quite a bit by a year to a year and a half, 2 years.
So it could be a year. So even you have a 20-year experienced controller, they move to a new airspace. It takes them a long time to train up. So we don't have the ability to just snap our fingers and move controllers around. It takes time to train up specifically on the airspace in which they control, which is why the staffing becomes an issue, and you got to see over the horizon on how you make sure you have enough in training to deal with any shortfalls that may come in the out years. Yes.
All right, there we have it yet again. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy discussing all things as they roll out a major new plan surrounding air traffic control systems. Obviously, this has been an issue as of late, and the Transportation Secretary hoping to nip it in the bud, if you will. Hey guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you mark your calendar and or set your watch. Yeah, I'm talking about your alarm. Tonight, coming up on Like It or Not, we're discussing talking to people on airplanes. A thumbs up or a thumbs down? Yours truly, joined along with Marina Barranco, Jim Loke, and don't know who the fourth person is, but we're going to chat about it tonight. Make sure you mark it on your calendar and yet again set your alarm. All right, guys, coming up next, The Take, right here on Fox 5.